Hello, everyone. Welcome to our latest Wolves Fancast match preview. I'm your host, Little Dan. On tonight's show, we'll be talking about Monday's televised match between Fulham and Wolves. The Gameweek 13 fixtures. We'll be talking about, obviously, the big game on Saturday lunchtime between Man City and Liverpool and the rest of the fixtures from the weekend. On tonight's show, I've got with me making his second appearance, Dean Marsden. How are you, Dean?
I'm all right, mate. Thank you. Thanks for having me back.
Always welcome, Dean. Obviously, just a top guy, and I like having you on. I like talking to you. And making his Wolves Fancast debut tonight, he's put out some posts today. I think he's more excited than ever I was when I joined the Fancast. We've got Tom Gibson. You can find him at Tom Talks Footy. How you going, Tom?
Yeah, not too bad. Thanks for having me on. Look forward to it.
Obviously, we ask new guests the same sort of questions when they join for the first time. Who's your favourite Wolves player that isn't Steve Bull? And another thing that frustrated me today, Tom, was I realised that you were literally half my age, so you probably haven't even seen Steve Bull play. What's the who's that flipping Accrington Stanley manager? When he starts, talking about falling out of love with football. The older I get, and the younger people below me just become more evident on Wolves Twitter and whatnot. Just makes me feel really old. I wonder why. I wonder why I even do this anymore. Who's your favourite Wolves player ever, Tom?
You know what? I'd probably just go with Neves. Yeah, straight up Neves. Love him.
He's up there. He's on the Mount Rushmore Wolves, ain't he? Probably hasn't. He hasn't won any trophies like the proper greats of Wolves gone by have, but he's up there, isn't he? What's one of your favourite away days following Wolves, Tom?
I loved. I don't think I'll ever have a game like it again as a fan. Cardiff away when we went up. I think that was one of the best away days I've been to. But I mean, them last few minutes, unbelievable. I didn't even watch the penalties. I had my head in my hands on both penalties, and just waited to see what the crowd reacted like. And yeah, mental.
Yeah, an absolutely Hall of Fame game in the Wolves history books. That promotion season is still one of the most exciting seasons that we've had in my lifetime. Obviously, we were talking about the game away to Fulham on Monday night. The big sort of talking point is the sort of Raul Jimenez making his first fixture against Wolves since leaving in the summer. Dean, what's some of your favourite memories involving that guy?
If you think about it, he's the best. I know Bully was Bully, but if you take Bully out of it, he's one of the best strikers we've had for decades and generations. And it's sad how it ended. But I even watched the montage video of when he left came out on my timeline the other day, and you watch it and you're like, the memories, the FA Cup goal, and even one of the most underrated goals is the semi-final one, the chest, and then the finish. And you're thinking, you was in pandemonium at that point, you was in delirium, and then what happened after we can't talk about. But you look at that, even the debut goal against Everton, like from that point, you're like, you know what, we've got a striker here. The movement, the header, man, we're on to something. But it'd be weird to see him back again, knowing what'll happen. He'll have a blinder and he'll score. But at the same time, he's just not the same player since his injury. So I love the guy, I really do. But I just hope he doesn't come back to haunt us on Monday.
What about you, Tom? What's some of your Raul memories that you're very fond of?
Brilliant striker. I mean, obviously that Arsenal game changed so much, but again, I feel like it made him love the club more as well. Yeah. Obviously, again, he had so many big moments for us. And every time he had the ball, like the chance said, give it to him and he'd score. And, he did that for us. And, like Dean said, it's sad how it ended. I mean, especially like the Mexican fans that we had in as well, and the input that had on the club as well. And yeah, just brilliant. I can't really say a favourite goal that he scored, to be honest, because there was so many. One that I really remember was probably against Braga, that little header he had away. Yeah, for some reason that just sticks out for me. It's a great goal, that was.
Yeah, that was an unreal away experience. That Braga one was absolutely fucking pissed it down that night. But just remember, sort of being, was it 3-1 up at half time or something like that? And
yeah,
it was just a mad night. And we just looked like a proper European side, didn't we, during that whole campaign? And there's a picture on my Instagram where I was at my godson's christening, and this like photographers took a picture of me when I'm not realizing that he's looking, and I'm having this big massive pond looking out onto the field, and literally my thought literally is, what if he scored that penalty against Sevilla? Because Wolves,
yeah,
it would have been like it wouldn't have been smash and grab in that sort of first period, because he was obviously really early into the game where he missed the penalty. But you just think, with us being 1-0 ahead, Wolves were sort of, known for sort of defending like beavers, like Chris Kamara would say.
Yeah. We'd have closed it out. We'd have closed it out. But that Sevilla game, it's not even the penalty that sticks in my head. It's the commentator of that Adama run. It's just one of the memories that just sticks in your head.
Yeah.
Thanks to everyone who's joining us on YouTube. Get your comments in with some of your Jimenez memories. We've got Geordie who's joining us again. How are the lads? Thanks for joining us again. It's going to be a really, I don't know how to word it. Really, it's a bit sort of a wholesome fixture on Monday night. Yeah, it's going to be one of them. I'm thinking earlier, in an ideal world, we'd probably be like 6-0 up, and Jimenez gets a consolation. I think that's the only that's the only sort of scenario I want to unfold, because I think if it's like 2-1 and he gets a consolation, it gets a bit nervy. Then I don't want the nerves. I just want a 6-0 up and he gets a consolation. He was sensational. Really big part of that era under Nuno. Let's talk about some of the fixtures that are game week 13 this weekend in the Premier League. Man City versus Liverpool at 12:30, followed by Burnley versus West Ham, Luton versus Palace, Newcastle at home to Chelsea, Forest at home to Brighton, and Bournemouth travel away to Sheffield United in the 3 o'clock. So the Saturday night evening kickoff is Brentford at home to Arsenal. Sunday, we've got Spurs at home to Villa, and then Man United travel away to Everton for the 4:30, and obviously the big game for us. Monday, 8 p.m. Away to Fulham. Where's your money for a banker this week, Tom? Who's going to win for you?
I'd go Burnley, West Ham. I think West Ham will win that comfortably. I'd say that's probably the banker for me.
Yeah, Burnley. I think the pressure is starting to rise on Vincent Kompany, isn't it, Dean? Where's your money this weekend?
I was going with West Ham. You stole it. Initially, I was drawn towards United, but Everton are going to be so pumped up. The atmosphere is going to be quite pumped up after the points deduction, and they'll be like point to prove us against the world. So probably, if I can't pick that one, probably Brighton. But even that, Forest are decent at home, but if I had to put a tenner on something and I can't have West Ham, I'd probably go Brighton.
It's mad. I was thinking of Brighton myself. I'm going to go with Brighton as well this weekend. But you look at that form table on the right. Brighton haven't won a game in the last 6, drawn 4, lost 2. Obviously, Forest haven't got much better record. They've won 1 in the last 6, drawn 3, lost 2. But I just think that Brighton have got to turn a corner sooner or later. I know they've had a bit of a hiccup recently, had sort of injuries. Obviously, whether they can cope with the Europa League demands on top will be something that we'll see in the next sort of few months. But yeah, I'm going to go with Brighton as well, away to Forest. I feel like they've got to turn the corner at some point. Forest ain't really hitting the ground running like they did at home last season, which I think got them over the line in the end. So we'll look at the fixtures a bit more there. The fixtures obviously is the big one this weekend. Is obviously Man City at home to Liverpool. I did read a stat, and I don't really want the Wolves Fancast to be a channel that wants to sort of give sympathy towards Liverpool. But you read the stat that Liverpool have played something like 12 games after an international break at 12:30 compared to the next team, which is like 4. It's a bit harsh, that is. And then you tie in with their form away to Man City. They've only won 1 in the last 8 away at Man City. Where's your money on that fixture, Tom?
See, I think these type of games, I think whoever's at home automatically has an advantage. Because I think like both teams have good followings. I know Man City get a lot of stick about their fans and whatever, but if the place is rolled up, I think Liverpool will struggle, to be honest. But at the same time, they always have good games when they play each other as well. Like it's box office like. So I'll go with Man City. I think because obviously they're at home. I think if it was at Anfield, it'd be a bit different. But I think the home advantage is definitely going to help them on Saturday.
I think if you're going to put money on anything, you just put a fiver on each team to win and both teams to score. I think it's going to be one of them games. I don't think either team are great defensively. I think Liverpool have probably got the best goalkeeper in the world at the moment in regards to sort of form, and that Alisson is up there, isn't he? What do you think to that match, Dean?
I think it depends on who's been away. So obviously you've got that factor as well. Like Haaland didn't play in the week, so he's going to be fresh. Depends on Alvarez. I don't know when Argentina's game was. Same with Alisson and Brazil. It's when do they get back? How long they're trained for? It's an early kickoff, but it's got to be. You can't go against City at home. Personally, like you've got to back them. They're the team that they are for a reason.
Yeah, you can't deny it, can you? Especially at home. Obviously, the last week there was talks of Erling Haaland being injured going to the game. Didn't play, I think, the last game for Norway in the international break. But apparently, Erling Haaland and I think there's 4 or 5 other Man City players that were a doubt. We're seeing all in training today. So you always wonder how much truth there is in regards to injuries. Talking about injuries, Gary O'Neill did his press conference yesterday, and he revealed that Pedro Neto won't be able to make the game on Monday away to Fulham. His comments were, there's no exact time frame, but he won't be available for Monday. We're hopeful it's weeks until he's back. It's hard because there will be tests, checkups and scans done, and we'll be guided by how he's healing. He's healing very well and probably ahead of where they'd want him to be. We're pleased with the progress he's made, but with the nature of the injury, we need to make sure everything's ticked off properly before he's back with the group. Furthermore, Gary O'Neill, obviously Craig Dawson is suspended for the game on Monday. We'll talk about the likely lineups in a few moments. Santi Breno had a bit of an ankle knock before the international break. He's expected to be fit to be in the squad, the same as Matt Doherty, who's got an hamstring strain, and Mario Lemina, who picked up an ankle knock away with Gabon. Obviously, the long-term injuries, we've still got Joe Hodge out with a shoulder injury, and Nathan Fraser has picked up a quad strain. So, looking at the team for on Monday night, talking about Fulham in particular, they've got João Pliny, who is supposedly, well, he is going to be out suspended. Wolves have been going predominantly with a back five recently, back five. Tom, would you match Fulham up and go sort of 4-2-3-1?
I'd probably stick with what we're going with. I'd stick to the same plan as always. Sometimes when you change your formation, and some players don't stick to it, I'd stick with what we got. Obviously, it's going to be a big impact with Paulinho out for them. I think it'll be a big shoes to fill for Bueno coming in for Dawson. I think he's got a big task on his hands, and we'll see how he deals with that. Because, obviously, he had his shot at Ipswich in the Ipswich game, and there was mixed opinions on him. So, he's got another chance in the squad now. So it'll be good to see how he adapts to it, really.
What about you, Dean? What's your thoughts on maybe matching them up?
I can see the positives and the negatives to it. I think the good thing at the minute is we've been kind of in the 5, but we've been changing to the 4 anyway, in possession or whatever, and allowing Aït-Nouri to just bomb on. Totty's been slotting across, and I think the negatives to Dawson's game is his pace, which is the same as Bueno. So they are like for like, but in that sense. But Dawson's a lot more of an experienced pro and all that kind of stuff. I think having the 2 with Iwobi in there, who seems to always have a bit of a... I don't know what he does. He just turns into prime R9 against us and always scores. So I'd try and keep the 3 in there like you've got on the screen now, just to give us... But then I'd obviously drop Sasha and then have another defender in there. But I can see the positives to it. I'd want Lemina to do a bit of a job on Iwobi if we keep the 4-2-3-1, and then just have Gomez and Bellegarde just running riot, really. Yeah,
as you can see on the screen there, I did do a sort of a mock-up with a 4-2-3-1, back 4, Semedo, Kilman, Totti and Aït-Nouri. We touched on it moments ago, and we don't want to go into sort of disparaging Raul, but I'd like to think a back four would be able to marshal Raul if he's going to play up front on his own. And then it's up to your midfield two of Gomez and Lamina to sort of marshal Willian Iwobi and Harry Wilson. It's just where do we draw the line on when we're best to play with a back five and when we should be trying to influence our better attacking players like we've got there, the front four of Hwang, Bellegarde, Cunha and Kalajdzic, Tom?
I think from what I've seen so far, we tend to go like more defensive when we're playing the bigger squads, when the bigger teams, when you've got a tougher game, which, you know, a lot of teams do. But I think the thing is with our wing backs, with Semedo and Ait-Nouri, they're so good going forward. You don't want to restrict them. At the same time, if you go into like a five back, you know, I feel like it gives them that like license to just bomb on forward, and it works because I mean, Ait-Nouri, I was watching a compilation of his season so far. He's just unbelievable on the ball. Like I think a lot of teams will be in for him, but it's, you know, up to Wolves if we think that, you know, if a price comes in for him.
We've got Arthur Busby in the comment section saying Wolves versus Fulham. What's Premier League coming to? Boring teams. Thanks for your comments, Arthur. It's really pleasure to have you join us tonight with your great insight there on two, you know, massively historical football clubs. Obviously, Fulham haven't got the trophy cabinet that Wolves have, but you know we've earned our right to be in the Premier League as much as everyone else. Looking at that form table on the right there, Fulham 1-1, drawn 1, lost 4 of the last 16. That's why I wouldn't be against Gary O'Neill going at them from the start on Monday night. I know it didn't really work well when we did go with a back four against Luton, didn't we? And it didn't really come off. Obviously, the sending off of Bellegarde didn't really help.
They was in a 5, weren't they? So you wasn't matching them up, was you? But that interesting thing about that is the goals for column for Fulham. They've scored 5 goals in 6 games, letting 10. So
yeah,
I think if Gary O'Neill has got scope to change to the 4, this is one of the games you target to do it, because you ain't going to do it next week. It's Arsenal, aren't you? So it's the chance to do it.
They have got some dangerous players. Obviously, Willian, I think, could be playing at a higher level than Fulham. You've mentioned Alex Iwobi, you know, a fully established Nigerian international, always causes us problems when he's played for us against for Everton. Harry Wilson's got a lovely left foot. But you look at those sort of 6 players behind them, Lukic, Reed, losing Pelini for them is a big blow for them. Tim Ream and Diop at the back. They're not sort of 2 centre-halves that have got a massive bundle of pace. So if we can get those 3 players, Hwang, Bellegarde and Cunha, running at them too, I don't see why we shouldn't be going at them from the start, Tom.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like you say, if this is the team where you are going to go to the 4, why not do it here? And obviously, as we've said, with Pelini being out, that's going to be huge for them because, you know, when I've watched Fulham play, he's such a big character for them. And obviously, with Bayern sniffing around with him at the minute, if he does leave in January, I do think Fulham might be in a bit of trouble because he is such a key body in that midfield. And I feel like we'll exploit on that on Monday night with our midfield. I mean, Bellegarde, you know, if he starts in that 10, you know, we can see how good he is with the ball and keeping it. And I mean, you know, if, say, Lukic comes in, you know, I feel like he's going to have a task on his hands with our midfield. So, yeah. We'll see how we go.
Jose Sá and Totti made their Portuguese full debuts against, I think, was it Liechtenstein the other night. Portugal ran out the group with, I think it was 10 wins out of 10. It just shows I've got no passion for international football. I lost it years and years ago. I'll watch the major tournaments, but the qualifying stages is just I'd rather watch Married at First Sight. What's your opinion on international football, Tom?
I was having this debate today actually. So like the friendlies, I'm not a fan of. I think we have like so many friendlies throughout the season. You get into a good rhythm, then it stops, and you've got 2-week international break. Obviously the major tournaments I love the major tournaments. You know, the whole country's together, but I don't really come across many people who will say they enjoy watching these friendlies when we're playing. Like, so for example, the England games, and some games we're playing against people, and the commentators saying, "Oh, the right back works part time in Sainsbury's." So I just feel like it kind of takes the flow out of a season in a way, because you'll get into a flow and then you've got to stop for internationals. And if you're not an international, then you've got 2 weeks training at your club where the intensity won't be as high because some of your best players are out on international duty. So, yeah, I'm not really a fan of the friendlies and the stoppages, but the major tournaments, I've got to love them. I love them.
Feel the same, Dean?
I think it's the scheduling that gets me up the gets my back up the most. It is literally every 4 weeks there's a break. But I think I don't know if it might have been, was it Pep? It was either Pep or Xavi. One of them's put something out recently, the last day or two, around scheduling, and what they're looking at is they're looking at doing kind of your season in so many months, then have a couple of months of your international, so you have a more condensed, then you have a month off, and that's your year as a footballer, which I think that would work better because you can create a bit of a bit of interest around it. If all the England games are coming short space of time, even as a manager, like if you're in Southgate, like I know some of us don't rate Southgate, but at the same time, if he's got a lot of games in a condensed amount of time, he can try more with his systems and his players. And whereas at the minute, you might have an idea, I want to do this in the Euros. You play your game in October, come your next international break, someone's injured, so there's no continuity, so you can't get it together. So, but me personally, I only watch the major tournaments. I have no interest. Like, the international breaks is my international break. Like I have a week off from football. I don't watch anything, and then I come back in for the Wolves games. But I think the scheduling is the bit that gets everyone's, like Pep and everyone moan. Like all the players have been like Hwang, for example. He's been in Korea for 2 weeks. He's come back. Probably didn't land till yesterday. Luckily, we're playing Monday, but you look at Korea, you look at Brazil, South America, they're all, it ain't just like Raul. I don't know if Raul will even play, because when did Mexico finish? And maybe he's got to fly back. I know it was always on the fence when he played for us. Is he going to be all right? Is he not? There's a few times we didn't start him because he didn't fly in till Thursday, Friday. But I think that's the biggest thing for me, is the scheduling. That's the bit that annoys me the most.
Yeah, it is frustrating because I want to be interested in England. I want to properly back the team, but when you're seeing a certain players that are just regurgitating every single squad that completely out of form, barely even play for the teams. Calvin Wilson's the main example for me. Barely has any minutes for Man City, and still somehow manages to get England appearances. Obviously, Harry Maguire's had a bit of a rough time, but he's come back into a bit of form recently, but hasn't justified previous call-ups. Same with Marcus Rashford this season, been an absolute it's just been awful compared to last season's form. Marcus Rashford still getting call-ups, but let's get back to the Fulham Wolves game, because we've gone off on a tangent there. We have talked about sort of going to a back four, sticking with a back five. Who are you dropping from that side there, Dean? If we are to go to a back five, and who would you have back in with Kilman and Totti at the?
I'd probably go Sasha for Santi. That would be my change. So I'd kind of match up to what we did against Spurs. Is you'd have Bellegarde in the three, but slightly to the right. Then have Cunha through the middle. Actually, Cunha was more to the left against Spurs, and Hwang was through the middle. That would be my change. I think everything else I'd keep as it is. I just love Aït-Nouri at the minute, just how good he is going forward, and Nelson as well on the other side. Gets a lot of stick than he Nelson, but I'm Team Nelson.
How's your back three set up with Santi, who's playing the sort of sweeper?
I'm putting him straight in the middle. I'm putting Santi in the middle, like with Dawson, because I wouldn't trust him on the outside, because if you Willian and Wilson, they're going to come in naturally, so they're going to double up, and Anthony Robinson, the left back, he's going to push on as well. So I'd like that continuity between Semedo and Kilman with the communication. They've got it pretty locked, so I wouldn't want to move too many around.
Yeah, I think we deter ourselves, don't we, if we move Kilman from that right centre half spot. The way he's able to bring it out, and just with the body shape, you don't know. He doesn't. I don't think he obviously knows. I don't think the majority of the crowd or the managers know which way he's shaping up. He can either go across field, or he can literally carry it 20, 30 yards just on his right foot if he feels the urge. What's your sort of lineup, Tom, based on that conversation? Do you throw Santi in as well?
I'd put Santi in. Yeah, I'd give him another go. And I feel like if you are going to give him a go on this game. I feel like don't get me wrong, I loved Raul in a Wolves shirt. And, I still love the bloke now. But he's not the player that he once was. And I feel like if, he hasn't played much for us, Santi hasn't. I feel like if you put him in now and he has a good game, it can give him a confidence boost. I mean, I'd probably put him in the three, similar to Dean, just to have that communication with Kilman next to him as well be a big thing for him. So, yeah, similar to Dean, really, yeah.
Yeah, I can't really knock it. Obviously, Santi was brought in the summer as the obviously the future to take over Dawson. The way it's sort of put down on paper, I don't know whether I'm like I don't know whether I had COVID a few weeks ago, so I still have 100%. I don't know what's wrong with me. I've got a bit of brain fog, but it wouldn't surprise me if Gary O'Neill throws in like Johnny on Monday night. I know it's a bit flipping. It is a bit risque, but I feel like he's come out a couple of times. He's talked about how Johnny's been solid in training. He's working hard. I think obviously he tried Johnny, didn't he, at centre half in one of the League Cup games and moved Doherty to the right wing back role.
Blackpool, wasn't he? He tried them both. Like he swapped them at half time. He had one the right centre back, one the right wing back, and then they just swapped them.
Yeah, I think Johnny is reliable. Yeah. It's just whether his fitness can be up to the standard that the Premier League is going to throw at him on Monday night. Yeah. Obviously, he knows Raul, the best mates weren't there at Wolves. So
I don't even know if he's in the country. His missus put on Instagram yesterday. They was in Finland on like some kind of Santa retreat. Johnny.
Oh, right. The one YouTube video. I could have sworn I saw him.
He might have come back late yesterday.
He was definitely in the video that they released earlier.
Or they might have gone on their own, just the missus and the kids. But I know the missus and the kids, they was over in Finland.
Yeah, I just think he's reliable. If we're going to go to a back five, he's not going to be asked to sort of bomb forward. For a small guy, he's got a good leap. I feel like he could marshal Jimenez if we need to. I just don't know how that sort of who plays that centre role if you do bring in Santi or Johnny or even I don't know who else you could even throw in there. I don't think and I think Johnny's more of a reliable centre half option than Doherty would be on Monday night. What's your score prediction for the game on Monday night, Dean?
2-0 Wolves. Nice and easy. 2-0 Wolves. I reckon Cunha will get the first goal, and I reckon Santi Bueno will get the second.
What's your score prediction, Tom?
I'm going to go 1-0. Scorer was going to say Hwang, but I'm just thinking, obviously, with him being away, is he going to be up to scratch after having the time away? And, he could be jet lagged or anything for all we know. He could have an off game. But so goal scorer, I'll go with Cunha.
I'm going Wolves 2-0 as well, Dean. I feel like if Gary goes at him, I feel like we can put these to the sword. I think, like you said, that they aren't a team that's got that are prolific in the goal charts at the moment. They've not got great home form or form in general at the moment. I feel like we're starting to build something. There's a bit of a fun factor to Wolves coming back. I listened to one of the Wolves Weekly episodes, which is another good podcast, probably. One everyone should be listening to if they aren't already. And Andy Thompson was talking about the Tottenham game. I don't know if either of you heard it.
Yeah.
And he was talking about in recent years, like 75 minutes, 80 minutes, a lot of the stadium would have left early, but a lot of that fan base was still there come the 85th minute in that game at Tottenham because there's a belief again following this team. I feel like the fans are starting to build bonds with certain players, and talking about building bonds, Pablo Sarabia helped build a bond with me at that Tottenham game because everyone knows I've been slating him for months. He even mentioned it after the game that he's had trouble acclimatizing to the Premier League, but that goal there with the animation by @Todd _ go and check his work out. I mean, just that goal from every angle, Tom, the creation, the touch, the finish, the the limbs. It's probably one of the first moments of the Gary O'Neill era that we won't forget.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I kept saying this after he scored it. If Ronaldo scored that or Messi scored that, it's like
If Salah scores that, he's won the Puskas Goal of the Season award.
Yeah,
Hasn't he?
yeah, literally. But you only that much of it because it's Sarabia. But I mean, the touch, because the ball that Cunha's put in there, that's a hard ball to deal with, and the touch. I think the touch just makes a goal, and then just do it on the volley. Bear in mind, he hasn't had the best of performances in a Wolves shirt. To have the confidence to just hit it on the volley, that was unreal. And then not only just that, minutes later to get the ball on the wing and slide it in for the winner. I mean, unbelievable.
It was. I've slated him. I've always said that he's a tidy footballer, but I think like the pace has been a bit of a struggle for him with the intensity of the Premier League. But we all know he's a tidy footballer. It's just whether he can sort of just keep repeating that sort of level that he showed when he came on against Tottenham.
Yeah, that's it. Like he's a very astute footballer. You don't play for PSG. You don't go in Spain World Cup squads if you're not. But it is that physical adjustment I think that he's struggling with. Is kind of games like Spurs where they was just sitting. It's perfect for him because we're going to have the ball. They're going to be on the front foot. But one thing about that Spurs game, it was a bit of an eye opener for me that I need to move my season ticket in the summer to the South Bank because when the winner went in, I've jumped up, started grabbing the geezers next to me, and the ones looked at me like I've just kind of spat on him or something. I was like, I need to move here. I need to get over the other end. But it is what Tomo said was right though, because usually the usual suspects in the North Bank, I'm NU4. You can usually see them creeping out, and as soon as the stoppage time goes up, it's usually see you later. But like Saturday, no one went. It was literally just we're going to get something here. We know it's coming. And when the first one went in, that was it. Like everyone knew, just go, just keep pushing. But the Sarabia, the touch, like, do you reckon he meant it for Sarabia?
I mean, some guy, who was it, Danny P, in the comment section saying that Cunha didn't mean that pass, that it was a shot or meant to be a deep across to Sasha. I'm not buying any sort of negativity towards that pass. I don't see how it's anyone else, but Sarabia and Wolves Fancast this season, we're pretty much throwing two fingers up to copyright. You're going to get Lee's animations everywhere. This is how we're getting around copyright this season. Go check out Todd _ and Aaron JB Smith on Twitter with their animations because it's top quality stuff, and I love stuff like that. It's a bit niche, and that's what we're all about at the Fancast. Talking about the North Bank, Dean, you had a bit of a how do you word it? Productive night a couple of weeks ago, a week or so ago.
Yeah,
for the
week today.
Tell us all about it.
Yeah, so week today, Molineux sleep out. I'm sure everyone knows what it is, but the whole point is you put yourself in the North Bank, sleep under the lights at Molineux, on the concrete. I don't know what that geezer's doing in a bucket hat, but I think last year was my first time doing it, and I was like, yeah, this is really good. But then this year really opened my eyes a little bit to the positive work that the foundation and Good Shepherd do. Like one of the things the Good Shepherd do is they have two guests that come on the night and they talk about their experiences from where they've gone with the Good Shepherd. And there's a couple of people that came in and they've gone from being homeless, using drugs, turning their life in prison, turning their life around, going from like a food bank, using it for a food bank, and then the Good Shepherd have helped them to get accommodation, get jobs, get themselves set up in life. And they're both really smashing it out of the park now. So they're helping other people in the same situation. So it's like a full circle, and it really hits home how much the money makes a difference. Like me personally, I've done like 600-700 quid, which is great really for little old me. But as a whole, I think they've pretty much done near enough like 50 grand, I think, or something like that. They're heading towards 30-50 grand, which it's going to make a massive difference. And the club are so good with it as well. Like that little kid there with the snacks, like the club will put stuff on for you. You got teas and coffees. A couple of the Wolves women were there serving coffees up, and the usual people there, Carla Keamy. The only negative was people snoring. If Gary Poundland watches the stream at him, he usually always snores, but he didn't this year. But there's always someone manages to snore on concrete. I just don't get how you can do that. I barely slept, but it was raining this year, so it was a lot tougher, and it really, I'm sitting there and I'm talking to the lad at Hayden who I was camping with, and I'm like, imagine if we didn't have this roof. If we're actually really homeless, the only choices we have is stuff like a multi-story car park, and you're not safe. Like anyone can come at any time, and you see people on social media being complete idiots and doing things to homeless people, and it really kind of very humbling, I'd say, is the overriding factor. So anyone that wants to get involved, just they'll do it next year as well, but go on the Wolves Foundation website. There's links to the Just Giving and stuff. Just donate what you can, pennies, pounds. It makes a massive difference in the community.
Yeah, definitely. The Wolves Foundation are really impressive. Done work with them in the past. Obviously, our associate partners, Boston Coffee, provided food and refreshments for the night, like you just mentioned there. The young kid with like the crisps and chocolate. It's all these little things that go to help. And like you said, if they've raised anything over, I mean, anything is fantastic. But you're talking about numbers like 30, 50 grand. That's going to go a great way to helping a lot of people who are struggling, and there is a lot of people struggling out there with various situations going on. Wolves Foundation did also release another video earlier on talking about the is it Head for Space, the mental health program that they do, and that's another fantastic initiative that they do. So yeah, help the Wolves Foundation as much as you can. We'll try and put the link out for the Molineux CPA if you've got anything else you can spare. Obviously, it's everyone's tight at the moment. Christmas is coming as well, but if you can spare anything, everything is appreciated. We're going to take a quick break now, and then we'll come back and do a little bit of quiz before closing out the night. We'll be back in 2 seconds. Welcome back. Obviously, I've got Dean and Tom with me. We just talked about the Molineux sleep out there. Thanks for joining us on the Wolves Fancast in association with Audi, the Boston Coffee Company, and Shoot Music Promotions, who we'll be working with every week now for the rest of the season. On our previous show, we'll be bringing you music tracks from UK bands and whatever we can do to try and get you a bit more involved in the music scene, because that's what I like. Secondly to Wolves, we're going to have a quick quiz section now. Obviously, Tom is a youngster, but I've put a couple of questions in tonight, which are in recent years, so there's no excuses for any. So the first question is, and this will be 6 years tomorrow, Wolves beat Bolton 5-1 at Molineux. Goals coming from Willy Bolly, Leo Bonatini, Ivan Cavallero got 2, and then Diogo Jota via a John Ruddy assist sealed the day. But my question is for you, Tom, Dean, and anyone in the comments section is, Bolton that day had 4 ex-Wolves players play against us. Can you name the 4 ex-Wolves players? So yeah, Saturday, 25th of November, 2017, Wolves 5, Bolton 1. There was 4 ex-Wolves players that came up against Wolves that day. Can you name them?
James Henry.
James Henry was not a correct answer, Dean. A lot of pondering, guys. Get that brain memory working. If anyone else is in the comments section, you think you know the answers, I'm sure they'll be in the if they're in the comments section, they'll probably be Wikipediaing right now. And if I see either of your screens change lights, guys, I'll be on to you like Willy Bolly on Will Buckley that day.
Nah, I have no idea. I'm blank. I've got no interest in Bolton.
I should have just went with who scored for Wolves that day. Would have been probably a lot easier for you guys, wouldn't it?
I'd have probably still struggled with the Bolly one. I'd have probably got the cap.
The easiest one out of the 4, you mentioned Henry, Dean. It was Carl Emery.
That's the one who I had on my mind, but I was debating if he was at Bolton at the time.
Carl Emery was the easiest one out of the 4.
I have no recollection of Carl Henry's career after QPR.
I'm sure there'll be some highlights that we'll try and put up on our Twitter tomorrow, but you'll see Carl Emery trying to chase down Diogo Jota for the 5th goal, and he gets nowhere near him. The second reasonably easy answer out the 4x Wolves players was Adam Lafondra, who came off the bench for them on the day. And then the two really difficult ones were former Wolves right back Mark Little.
Oh, okay.
Who was obviously right back under, I think, Mick McCarthy's first season at Wolves. And then the really difficult one was the centre-half for Bolton that day. He played once for Wolves, and that was David Wheater.
Man.
Maybe I need to sort of make my quizzes a little bit easier, but
you need to just realise that we ain't all as Wolves encyclopedia level as you.
Yeah,
I don't think I'd have got all four if I was asked that question. I reckon I would have got Carl Emery and Adam Lafondra at best. I don't think I'd have remembered Mark Little and David Wheater. The second question is, so 10 years ago, this weekend coming, Wolves beat Tranmere 2-0 in League One. Can you name our goal scorers that day?
Tranmere League One.
I don't think I'd have got this right. I'm just putting it out there. I don't really remember much of that home calendar in League One. I remember a lot of the away days, but not many League One home wins apart from sort of like Rotherham the 6-4 and drawing 1-1 against Coventry in the games that sort of stand out for me in that League One season. But I can't remember this Wolves 2 Tranmere 0. Can you name the goal scorers from that day?
I'm gonna have a punt at Kev Mack.
Kevin McDonald is not one of the answers.
Ooh,
God, you'd have been like 8.
Yeah, I haven't got that excuse.
Dangerous Dave Edwards, maybe?
Dangerous Dave Edwards.
Oh, fair play.
Is one of the correct answers, and then
come on,
the guy who put us 1-0 up against Tranmere that day was the Scottish. I don't even know how would you even describe Lee Griffiths as a Scottish
Earthworm Jim?
Scottish Jamie Vardy. Yeah, that was the two correct answers. Wolves versus Tranmere 2-0 from 2013. Lee Griffiths and Dave Edwards was the scorer. We've got, if you've been viewing our Wolves social media pages the last sort of week or so, whilst I've been absolutely bored to death of the international break, I've been putting out some pixelated Wolves players, and we haven't done it on social media today. I'm going to put it out after this episode, but I've saved these pictures for Tom and Dean tonight. Can you name the 4 players that feature in these pixelated pictures?
Dan's silly game. Top left is Kevin Doyle, I think. Hunt, bottom left. Right, Ait-Nouri. And top right, Guediora.
Are you going to go with the same as Dean's nominations there, Tom? Because I'll tell you right now, he hasn't got all 4 right.
I'd go with the 3 apart from bottom right. Bottom right, I'm going to go with Vitinha.
Yeah.
Between the two of you, you finally got both, all 4 right. Kevin Doyle top left, Adlan Guediora top right, Stephen Hunt scoring in that 3-2 win away to Birmingham City, and the Portuguese super wonder kid Vitinha, who was
that shirt that Vitinha's in. It's my favourite of the Fosun era home shirts.
Yeah, it's a nice,
because it's that bit darker.
Yeah.
It is. It's a nice little kit. That Kevin Doyle Birder kit, I've never been a fan of. I don't know whether it's just because it's, it was just a really bad season. You talk about that Stephen on scoring that 3-2. That was a good away day. That was, obviously. I think that was the difference between Wolves staying up that day and Wolves getting relegated. Paul Robinson absolutely breaking Ebanks Blake's leg that day. I think that was the difference between Wolves staying up and keeping Dean Saunders and Wolves going down and revitalising ourselves. Thanks for joining us tonight on the Wolves Fancast match preview alongside Audi, the Boston Coffee Company and Shoot Music Promotions. We'll be back, I believe, probably on Tuesday night to talk about Monday's away tie to Fulham. Thanks for joining myself, Dean, and Tom. As I just mentioned, for the rest of the season, along with Shoot Music Promotions, we're going to be bringing you music from UK bands. This week, we're going to be bringing you Southampton-based band Regent with their track Liberation. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.